also was arrested for shoplifting while he was in Phoenix, and they went through the very same diversion program. Now, my husband was an alcoholic, and he was in a blackout, and he was the chief investment officer for the county pension fund here in San Diego. Alcoholics are sick people. Now, Rebecca has no history of addiction, but my point is that I saw some parallels in her past and in his past. Her family doesn't think that she ever had any mental illness, but I'm just going based on some of the behaviors. She never talked about suicide, though. She never threatened to commit suicide. My husband did multiple times. So, I mean, they're not the same person. They're not the same situation, but I did see some similarities. My husband was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder by our marriage counselor, who told me and did not tell him, which was very awkward. My memoir basically just goes into our whole relationship and what it was like. And I am just basically calling attention to that because I was finally able to finish writing it after sitting through the Rebecca Zahout trial. I was able to kind of get some closure, I think, for myself to be able to write about that because I've been trying and trying. I published that myself. If anybody wants more background on my story and what my experience was, then people can read that. But I have kind of a super condensed version of, what I wove into Death on Ocean Boulevard so that people know that I have that experience. And I do put myself into the story in different places because I'm interviewing Adam, for example. There's a whole couple scenes there. I've had a really positive response from most people who've read this book. I mean, a really positive response who've reviewed it early. And I've only had a couple people that I've read so far, readers, who didn't like the fact that I put myself in. But my editor and I both thought that because of my experience that people should know that's where I'm coming from. And I have this unique perspective.
Exactly. And actually, I appreciate that.
Sometimes
you wonder where people get their information from and are they just guessing?
Right.
But you have first
up that path.
Yeah.
You wanted to know also about something else I'm working on?
Whatever it is, I'm definitely going to read it.
Well, okay, so I'm writing a novel. I have the one novel that's out. It's called Naked Addiction. My themes, if you can't tell, mental illness and addiction, those are themes in some of the different cases that I pick. And suicide. Those are really, light topics. I'm writing a sequel. It's got the same detective in it. It basically pulls from my experience in covering a lot of these cases. Staged suicides, staged murders, drugs, sex. That's a lot of what I write about. Now that I have all this information and I have all this experience and knowledge about how homicide cases are investigated and how many times there really are staged scenes. The Rebecca Zahout case is either a staged homicide or it's a staged suicide, but either way, it was staged. I think that's what people pretty much seem to agree on, no matter what side of it you're on. So anyway, my novel that I'm working on, I'm pulling from all these different cases that I've written about, including this one. It should be fun. It's about the mysterious death of older man and this younger woman who turned out to be father and daughter. There's obviously something very strange about the scene. A lot of things don't make sense. They say it's a suspicious death, just like the Rebecca Zahout one. Always investigate that as a homicide just so they don't miss anything. It's called Dopamine Fix, F-I-X, like a fix, like, I got to get my fix. Dopamine is something that's always fascinated me, but when you can't stop looking at your phone and you're addicted to your phone and you want to see if you got an email, you want to check on Facebook to see if somebody's responded to something you just posted, your brain releases dopamine. It makes you do that. When you're in a brand new relationship and you're all infatuated and you're very attracted to that person, that's dopamine. So dopamine is a powerful neurotransmitter and it's a reward-seeking transmitter. That's what that's about. It's a fun book. It's got a biotech aspect to it, police detective, and then there's an investigative reporter. So there's romantic tension and it's a fun book. All the good stuff. Yeah.
When will that come out?
Well, I'm working on it right now. I'm supposed to have it done this year with Wild Blue Press, but I'm still working on it.
Good.
So I don't have a specific date yet, but it should be later this year.
I really appreciate you writing about these topics because I think there's very few families that haven't been touched by addiction. Our family has the trifecta. We've been touched by suicide, we've been touched by addiction, and we've been touched by mental illness.
You're right. I think those are themes that a lot of people can relate to. At least someone in their family has had one or more of those issues.
Right.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate you saying that.
Caitlin, we loved this book. I could not put it down.
Awesome.
And our heart goes out to you for what you've had to experience in
Oh,
your
thank you.
life. You just keep writing these wonderful books, and you've got 3 new fans.
Oh, thank you. That's so nice to hear. Thank you so much. And thank you for having me on your show.
You enjoy the rest of your day,
I
because you've
will.
got a lot more of it than we do. We're in Maryland, so.
I'm going to be taking pictures of my partner. I'm helping him release his first record album. I'm the photographer. I'm doing his website, and that's a whole lot of fun too. So that's what I'll be
Oh,
doing.
cool.
Yeah. We sing together too. It's fun.
Oh, wow.
Right?
Cool. All
All
right,
right.
Caitlin. Well, we'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks so much. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. This episode ran a little long, but we thought it was an important one to include everything. And we thank Caitlin very much for joining us. We highly recommend this book. Be sure and pick it up. Well, that brings us to the end of another episode. Thank you for listening. We hope you join us next week. We will have one more recast after this episode, and then we'll be back with some interesting and exciting new episodes. Thanks, and see you soon. And remember,
Life would be boring without a little mystery. Bye.